star worldwide. It's time for Don Cromwell Live, an insightful, entertaining look into all aspects of the music industry. You'll never hear music the same way again. Now here's your host, producer, songwriter, musician, and former Air Supply and Eddie Money bassist, Don Cromwell.
Hey, all right. Hey, boy, that cut off real quick. Welcome, everybody, to Don Cromwell. I'm so happy to have you here, July 11th, 2018. Lair Dog's in the house, as always. We got Lori Reamer, my new semi-special guest, sitting by my
I'm here
side.
too often, right?
But, well, yeah, no, we're getting there, and I love it. Love having you here. But our main guest tonight, very pleased to meet him for the first time, and what a resume as an actor. Northern Exposure, Entourage, Billions. I'm not much of a TV guy, unfortunately, but all sorts of things. But he's here tonight. I know. But he's here tonight as a singer, songwriter, promoting his new music, Mr. Rob Morrow. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you, Don. Thanks for having me here. It's a great setup. It's amazing you say you're not a TV guy, because this is what I call the platinum age of television. You can find the greatest. It's like what the early 20th century was and mid 20th century was for literature is television right now. I mean, it's extraordinary.
And some of the shows that you've been part of, amazing, nominated for Emmys and Golden Globe.
Yeah.
But and when I say TV, hey, look, we watch Jeopardy and sports. That's kind of it.
Right.
But I know those shows. I think I've seen Entourage once. Was phenomenal.
Yeah.
But Billions is huge. I mean, that's a big show.
Billions is fun. You know, the cool thing about Entourage was, and this has happened a few times to me now, where I was a fan of the show and then they asked me to do it, which is the coolest thing, because I ended up playing golf with Doug Ellen, who created the show, and we were golf buddies, and he was like, hey, would you ever come out to do the show? And I was like, sight unseen, just tell me where to show up, because I was a giant fan of that show.
Perfect.
And then I'm in the show doing scenes. I played Ari's lawyer when he was getting divorced, and so there I am in the show, which is the most surreal thing, because when we watch TV and movies, we project so much onto it, we see so much, we take in, and then when you're in that world as a part of it, it's like a dreamscape. You know, you're like
surreal.
It's surreal.
Yeah.
But in that case, really fun. They gave me a lot of fun stuff to do, and Piven's an old pal, and so we had a good time.
Well, and I'm a golfer myself, and a lot of things can happen on a golf course.
Yeah, man. I've had a lot of. I've made a fair amount of deals, or at least potential for deals.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Where do you play? Do you play over there in the West Side? There?
Yeah, Brentwood.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Sweet.
it's
I just
great.
played LA Country Club. My friend.
How great is that? Which is south or north?
South, 43 in the front 9, which is I'm about an 18.
Yeah, that's great.
But those courses are just so fun. They just reek of class and old school.
So much fun.
That's what I love about them.
Brentwood's cool too. I mean, I joined there about 10 years ago. Penmore was my home course until then, and which was a great place. But you know, the cool thing about being a member of Brentwood is I can go out on a Tuesday at 11 o'clock and play 9 holes in an hour and 10 minutes by myself, 2 balls a hole, listening to music, you know, and it's like, that's the greatest luxury ever.
That is, and it just sounds great. And again, till I really dug into your background and stuff, from New York.
Yeah, I'm New Yorker,
September 21st. That's my dad's birthday. God rest his soul.
Oh, cool, the Virgo.
And,
that's my wife's birthday, and that's our we call it our birth anniversary. That's our anniversary as well.
Oh my gosh, a lot going on, man. And Lori, you guys had your great event.
Do you remember?
Last Sunday. Yeah.
It's the first night of September.
Speaking of which, they played that.
Yeah, we just did that in our show.
Your great event, the Tribe, and I did see Rob. Rob, what did you sing that night? I forgot.
I sang a Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
That's right.
Great
You
song
made me
called
so.
You've Made Me So Very
Yeah,
Happy.
right.
And Lori's amazing. She doesn't get enough credit. I mean, she's just extraordinary.
Yeah, she is.
She organizes these giant events, which are so beautiful, and they're all about giving money to different charities. In this case, the last one, the Canyon, was for the homeless, and and these amazing musicians come out, and it's a really good time.
Yeah, it was cool.
That was one big old band.
Yeah,
I mean, you know.
We had Walter Egan on that show. It was cool.
And Lori, I mean, speaking of which, my wife Cindy and I, we were just in the audience on that one. Thank you, John Pratt, for setting us up. John will be on the show next week.
Yeah,
right?
next
John
week.
Pratt. I'm going to see his show.
Yeah.
If I'm not in New York.
Yeah, but we were just amazed at all the switching around and how organized. I mean,
That's the Tribe.
Each song had a different singer. that you can keep track of that. I mean, that's a lot of rehearsal.
And then I made them
It's a lot of
introduce
rehearsal.
the next person.
Right.
That was like even crazier.
You're getting your not money's worth.
That was my biggest fear. My biggest fear was
Introduce the wrong person.
I wouldn't remember the name. The first night when we did it at the El Rey, I had it in my pocket just in case.
Oh, did you do the El Rey too, Rob?
I was going to ask you.
Yeah, he did.
What'd you say?
Did you do the
He
El
did.
Rey too?
He did
I
all
did
three.
the El Rey, and I did all three.
Nice. Yeah, because, I mean, you get some good names, and it was, again, well produced. Congratulations. Well done. And well played, like you say, man, singing behind that big band. Horns and
So cool.
Yeah.
Chad Watson switching around and all
So
this stuff.
cool.
Well, that song worked so well because we had the horn section.
Well, that's what made me
Yeah,
think
we
of
did
it, 'cause
When you
I was
walked
like-
in, like when he walked into rehearsal, we were just like, okay, we needed to make sure all of our horn
Yeah.
players were there and ready.
And you sing really well too. Nobody really kind of gives you kudos for your background vocals,
Thank
Lori,
you.
but you sing really well. I can hear you.
But a lot of people
Yes,
hire me,
she's
so
great.
Yeah. So Lori's available if anybody needs it. But
yeah, I need work.
tonight's show is about Rob Morrow. Rob, obviously the acting credentials are unquestioned. Tell us about the how you swing into music, combine the two, or what are you
Yeah.
focusing in right now?
Well, it's interesting. It's a huge part of my life right now, and it started. I started playing drums when I was around 5, and then I played through my teens, and then I picked up the guitar in the 20s. But I was a strummer, It wasn't. I played an occasional sit-in, but it wasn't that serious. But I strummed a lot. I would have a guitar on location, and I was the thing about movie and TV is you sit around a lot, and so I got pretty okay over the years. And then somewhere in my 40s, I got really serious, and I started taking more guitar lessons. Taking voice lessons, and an interesting thing happened. I was on a show called The Whole Truth on ABC, and we were filming on the Warner Brothers lot, and it was tanking. It was disaster. We did 13 of them, and they aired 6 of them, I think, and it was myself and Maura Tierney. It was a law show, and halfway through, they came to me, and they always saw me with a guitar, and they came to me, the PR people, and said Conan O'Brien had just moved onto the lot for his new show on TBS, and they were going to set up a camera in his office lobby, and anyone on the lot on a show could get 5 minutes and do something. And they said, you've got to do something because the show's dying and we need to promote it and do something. And I was like, what do you want me to do? They said, well, write a song. They said, write a song. And I was like, okay. And I'd never written a song before, but I'd written a lot of screenplays and stuff like that, so I was comfortable with writing and maybe a bit of poetry, but never wrote a song. So I went to my trailer, and they said we need it in 2 hours.
Oh God.
Only 2.
So I went to my trailer, and I just took a blues progression, and I wrote lyrics that were apropos to the show, and it worked. And it's on YouTube. You can watch it. The Conan O'Brien and Me, I guess, if
that's
you
awesome.
search it. And it worked enough for me to go, wow, I just wrote a song. And so that started me on a process that's been now, over about close to 15 years, I guess, 12 years, starting songwriting and writing, and then writing a lot. And then eventually I started writing with Carlos Calvo, who's now my songwriting partner and great friend and bandmate. And the songs started to gel and take on enough of a potential that we got really excited about it, and eventually started recording and started playing out. But I would go out first by myself to these places like the Mint or wherever I could get on, and I'd always ask for like the earliest slot because I didn't want anyone to see me because I knew I was going to suck,
Well,
and I
practice.
did suck. I sucked, but I said I've got to go through this, otherwise I'll
funny.
never get it. So I went out there. Plus, I was recognizable, and it was awkward. But I went through this baptism by fire, and eventually I got to the point where I didn't suck. And then we started going out to Carlos and I, and then we put together the band, and now we've been recording, and we're growing a fan base. And what I love about it is it's so direct music. It hits you viscerally. Nothing else hits you viscerally like that. It enters for me in my gut. Even though you hear it, it enters me vibrationally, and so it's irrefutable. So I can be by myself and be depressed and play a song, and I feel better. I don't know if it's not
That's
going to
music
cure me.
therapy right there.
It's music therapy,
Yeah.
and so the idea of putting music out that has good vibes, into the world. I love that idea. And also, because so much of my work in show business is negotiating or auditioning or meeting or begging or writing or developing. I produce a lot. I direct a lot. It's a lot of legwork. The music stuff is autonomous. I can write a song by myself and go out and play it, and it's equally satisfying.
Yeah, it's magical.
It's magical.
Yeah.
I just drink.
Yeah.
I do that too.
How did you meet Carlos again? I couldn't remember.
Anthony D'Esposito, who's an AD, turned me on to Carlos, and I was looking for a guitar teacher, and Carlos is like a guitar teacher to the stars. He taught Adam Levine how to play, he taught David Duchovny how to play, he taught Jonah Hill how to play, and he took my game up to a whole other level, and then we just started writing.
So when you were first doing stuff on your own, it was acoustic, and then you switched over to because I know you play some electric guitar too. So.
Yeah. It was all acoustic at first, and then now it's become more. It's funny because when we're writing songs, I say, Carlos, it's not. I don't want to write songs. I want to write music. Let's get out of the songs. Like the songs feel old to me. Like music is something bigger, and so that's what we've been evolving toward.
Yeah, well, you picked up an electric guitar in here and started banging around on it before the show, so I know that's what you do.
I do that all the time. Sometimes I get in trouble, man. Sometimes people get so pissed off at me because, they're
you
like...
just touch stuff.
Well, no, not stuff, but guitar. If I walk in the room and there's guitar...
Touch instruments.
I pick it up, and there's guitarists that have great guitar. They don't know if it's safe, and so they get more...
All right, you've got that guitar in your hand. Now, speaking of which, I said I'd give a big shout out to our buddy, Tim Godwin at Taylor Guitars. You're a Taylor in Dorsey.
I've got a Taylor right here.
Yeah,
man.
so Timmy's got that Taylor here. He's going to play it right now. We love Tim. We love Taylor Guitars. And tell us about the song you're going to play, Rob.
Well, I've been kind of really obsessed and frustrated with the state of the world, especially the state of our country. And I watch a lot of news. And I knew I had to write a song about what was going on, and this came out a couple weeks ago. So,
okay, and what's it called?
It's called "What Have We Become."
I like it.
That's really new, huh?
Yeah.
Take it away, Rob Morrow.
I see cruelty and decencies, steps and repeats, then just misleads. What have we become? I see kindness in a beggar's face every day. I see leaders embrace disgrace, lawyers gamble and gaming our fates. What have we become? I see beauty in a stranger's grace every day. Well, I don't know what blocks that sun, but we are blessed and cursed by what we become, by what we become, by what we become. I see hatred, degradation, no more ethics, threats and epithets. What have we become? I see magic in those stars in space every day. I see apathy in humanity, search and seizures, just misdemeanors. What have we become? I see wonder in a child's gaze every day. Well, I don't know what blocks that sun, but we are blessed and cursed by what we become, by what we become, by what we become. Have you seen the other side, a place where better angels guide us to our higher selves, singing out the joy our hearts have always held? I don't know what blocks that sun, but we are blessed and cursed by what we become. I don't know what blocks that sun, but we are blessed and cursed by what we become, by what we become, by what we've become. What have we become? What have we become?
Outstanding, man. See, you're an actor, so you know how to emote, you know? I work with a couple actors, too, in the studio, and they always know how to really put the point across because you're acting and you're singing and you do beautiful tune, man, and good guitar playing.
Well, thanks so much.
Yeah.
You know, it just felt...
Carlos teaching you right.
Carlos is definitely teaching me right, but it felt so good to write that because I felt like I could take all of what I'm feeling and do something. It's the great gift of art. It's cathartic.
Yes, it is. Channel it.
Interesting. Now, we are here to promote some things. You've got a new single, number one, which we're going to hear later, but you're also playing locally here at our favorite place, Bogey's, on Sunday night.
Yay!
Why don't you talk about it, Laurie?
So, most of you who've heard me before know that I produce a lot of shows and promote a lot of shows at Bogey's in Westlake Village, which we love. And so we decided that we were going to put a double bill together with Gary Stockdale.
The great Gary Stockdale.
Yeah, and Rob Morrow Band. And we timed it so that it was when the single was just getting released. It just got released.
Yes.
And the album is coming up sometime this year, I suppose. And anyway, so both bands are going to be playing full sets with full bands, and it's going to be an awesome night. And it's this coming Sunday, the 15th of July.
And I love Bogey's. I got to say, it's one of my favorite venues in LA.
And
it's
we love Ken Green.
Ken is so cool. The people there are so cool, but the whole vibe of it, the whole gestalt, if you will, the sound.
Gestalt.
The team is great.
The sound
guys,
everything, the lighting guys, everything about it. Plus the restaurants and the it's on this resort. I keep telling my friends to book a night at the hotel and come out.
Just hang.
It's a really great kind of find. I'm really excited.
Yeah, that back patio, you could be anywhere in the world back there. And now they're making that little lake area bigger. And
right.
I mean, it just...
putting a spa back there, too.
I mean...
And you can smoke cigars. It's one of the few places that you can smoke
Ken's
cigars.
office,
That's
right
true.
where that cigar, cabinet is.
Bogey's has been
Ken's
there
office.
forever. I mean, I was telling you, Rob, before the show, Cindy and I were out here in the 80s when I was on the road, moved into the valley, came back out this way. Bogey's is still there, but it's undergone this transformation. And now with so many of the clubs in the valley having shut down, closed up, whatever, Bogey's has become like a go-to place, not only to hear music, but to play music.
Yeah.
The kind of talent that goes through there now. And again, Ken Green gets a ton of credit for that. Lori,
Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday is the live music.
And because you want to hang out, too. That's nice, too. You don't necessarily want to hang out at all the clubs when you go. Like the El Rey, you wouldn't want to hang out.
It's chill. And they have the back patio. It's chill.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And so you're a cigar smoker. You enjoy a cigar out there in the patio? Yeah. They it's supposedly one little section, but they get away with it all. And now, speaking of which, your assistant, and I'm sorry I forget her name.
Hannah.
Yeah, she said to
Hi, Hannah.
make sure to promote.
I know you're
Hey,
listening.
baby, promote your Facebook page.
Oh, yeah.
The Facebook.com/Rob Morrow Band.
Yes.
So you got a lot of things. Yeah, I always say people come on the show. Some wear a lot of hats. You wear a ton of hats.
I do wear a ton of hats. I don't know what I just because it's funny. Like I don't know why. I ended
You don't
up.
have a big head. That's not real.
I mean, I certainly have an ego that I have to wrestle
No,
with.
come
But
You have to, man,
Come
to be
on,
in the
man.
business.
yeah,
come
we
on.
do. But directing is what seemed a natural extension of acting, and producing was a way to create work that I cared for, and then music became something that was a passion, and then it became about the autonomy of it, and. So yeah, I do. I like to keep busy. I guess I have to create every day, and so that's the thing. If you're in show business, you can be left out wanting, even if you're really successful.
Right.
And so, finding something to create every day is my goal.
Right. One of my favorite.
That's brilliant.
And you will sign the wall when we're done. But right above there, my good friend Seth Swirsky. Life is creating, and
Yeah.
and it really
There you
is.
go. You're
I'm the
right.
same way.
I agree.
I would if I didn't have the studio right outside my the bulk of my house, the main part of my house, I don't know what I'd do, because I get so many ideas on the spur, and I've been fortunate to always have a home studio, at least for the last 25 years.
Yeah.
How about you? You got anything at home, creative?
I have a studio it's not so much a recording, although we can do like basic demos and stuff, but it's got a set of drums and guitars and
Oh, well,
and,
there you go.
Yeah, we can rehearse there,
That's all you need.
the full band, keyboards and stuff like that, but it wouldn't be optimal for really recording.
And then you have Steve Postel in
And we
his
got-
studio.
And Steve produced. He's a great guy, and he produced a couple songs for us, and he's going to produce the whole album when we get it going.
Yeah. Now, Steve, there's a guy who gets around. I mean,
Yeah, we'll
every
bring him in here. I already talked to
Oh,
him
yeah,
about it.
yeah. I mean, he's. We have so many common things about that. We won't even go there right now.
Steve's one of these guys.
He
Like
knows a
when
lot of people.
when I met him, it was like as if I knew him forever. and
Yeah.
I don't know
Isn't that
what it
great?
was about.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how I felt about Denny Lane. He's back there, and Denny. Denny's playing bogeys again. I see
Again,
coming
yeah.
out.
I saw
Damn,
it.
that boy.
He's a regular.
Can't
He's a
keep him
regular,
away. I love him. But Denny Lane from Wings and the Moody Blues, newly inducted in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, I'd never met him before,
Right.
and Lori and Ken helped set me up with him because he was playing bogeys, and I didn't know what to expect. I'm sure he didn't either. And he shows up about 2 minutes to 6. He goes, "Hello." He says, I was looking for a recording studio." No, this is
As
it.
other people do.
and he walks in and was like my long lost brother.
Yeah,
Right.
interesting. I love when that happens.
So easy.
And after the show, we hung, man, and so much so that he came back and did a part 2. Now he'll have to do a part 3.
There you go.
And man, he still sings. And
He's got plenty to talk about.
Oh, he does, man.
He's deep.
Plus, he's in the
On
hall.
stage too.
Yeah. Fantastic. So, Rob, tell us who your players are in your band coming up.
Well, I mean, so Carlos plays lead guitar. I kind of play rhythm. We have a great bass player named Carlos Costa, sweetest guy, and Jason Libbs is on keys, and we have a new drummer. Sam Aliano was our drummer, but he's moving back to Australia. So we have a great guy named Mark Slutsky, and it's fun because he's bringing a whole different vibe to it.
Sure.
And, so it's been fun, kind of rethinking, the rhythm stuff. And everyone's tight, and we kind of dig playing together. And last year we went to Chicago on a little mini tour. And
Yeah, I
had a
did
great
see you
time.
guys played some dates and
Yeah.
got offered some things. Well, that's the thing. Once you go play live, if people love it, it's going to open up more opportunities.
It's so much fun. Yeah, we got to play a big, that was the biggest gig we did, about 5,000 people there, and it was really fun. And it was like this this natural amphitheater in a park, and it was sunset, it was very cool.
Was it like a festival thing?
Yeah,
Or?
yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was really cool.
I love Chicago.
Yeah.
kind
Now, what about acting now? How do you balance the two? Or are you in between shows? You still filming stuff?
He's supposed to be gone right now, right?
Well, I think I'm kind of negotiating for a gig right now, which will out of nowhere, will take me back to New York for a month, and then going back in another month, and then going to San Francisco. But if that doesn't happen, either way, I'm going back to Billions in the fall, I think.
Oh yeah. Now I've never seen it, but I hear that's a huge show.
People love it.
Billions.
Yeah, it's a big hit.
Cable.
It's on
Showtime. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and Paul Giamatti and Damian Lewis. And,
fantastic.
And Maggie Siff are the kind of main stars, but it's got a pretty big ensemble cast. And John Malkovich just did an arc on it. And
we need bigger names, man. And what's your role on Billions?
I play this guy named DiGiulio, who was the assistant to the Attorney General of the United States, and kind of oversaw the district attorneys in New York, and was Paul Giamatti's boss, and then eventually through some backroom maneuvering ended up getting a federal judgeship, and is angling toward the Supreme Court. And so the show's all about kind of the power politics. So it's very has a lot of zeitgeist aspects to it. And the interesting thing is it's all about Wall Street. Basically it's a lot about big power money. And anywhere, and whenever I go into where the hedge fund guys are, they go crazy. They're like so into it. Like everyone loves to see themselves.
Yeah, give me a tip. Throw me a bone.
Well said.
I need some insider trading, right?
Come on, work with me.
Right.
I love you.
Now, one of the little clips or little blurbs that I saw, you were on Saturday Night Live back in 1975 with Rodney Danger in a skit with Rodney Dangerfield.
This is a cool story. This is the beginning of my career.
That's as good as it gets right there.
It was 79.
Oh, 79.
But here's the thing. When I was 15, I decided I wanted to be an actor. I was living in Florida with my dad, and I saw they were making a movie called Caddyshack in South Miami, in Fort Lauderdale. And I cut school for 6 weeks and was an extra. And I'm all over that movie. A little fat version of me. I mean, you turn on that movie.
Oh, just what I need to do. Watch it again.
I am everywhere. Anytime there's a scene, and I had actually caddied a bit, so they took me. I was kind of became the mascot of the set because they couldn't find real kids, because nobody could miss school. But I quit school.
You're a badass.
I was a badass, and so they were so nice to me. And Michael O'Keefe, who was the star of the movie, used to put me in the front of the lunch line and tell the girls that I was the star of the movie. And Brian Doyle Murray said, really took a liking to me. He said, "Hey kid, if you ever come to New York, give me a call." And he gave me this little piece of paper which went in my wallet, and it was like the Holy Grail. And sure enough,
kind of works for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, like 3 years later, I end up in New York to start my career, and I'm like, well, I'm going to call this guy. And I call him and I say, "Hey man, you remember me?" He's like, well, yeah, I guess. I don't know. He's like, he says, "Hey, why don't you come up to the show?" So it was 79. He says, Rodney Dangerfield's the host, which was a coincidence.
Perfect.
And he says, "Bring some pot," And I was like, all right. So I show up, and the first thing I see is John Belushi, who was not on the show anymore, but was like half naked. You could see his butt hanging out of his pants, walking through the halls, wasted, wasted. But it wasn't even on the show. So that was my first thing. So I become an extra on the show, and then cut to 15 years later, I host the show, and I'm hosting it, and I said to Lorne Michaels, I was on the show, and he was like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, I was an extra." And so in my monologue, I referenced that I think we talked about how I was in this training program, and now I'm finally hosting it.
That's funny.
And Nirvana was the band.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it was interesting because I was at SNL this past winter in Christmas time. My friend said, "You want to go up and watch the show?" And we went, and the Foo Fighters were the band. And I've seen Dave once or twice around, but not a lot. And when I was hosting it, I knew those guys a little bit because we all lived in Seattle, but they show up on Friday. I'd been there all week, and their dressing room was right across from mine, and it's a small room. It was like this size, basically, but the whole band and the girls were in this room. And I walk in, and Kurt was out cold on the floor, just out, and nobody said anything. And I literally was stepping over him to shake their hands. And Dave says to me, this past Christmas, he says, and I walk in the dressing room to say hi. It's the same exact spot I was standing when I went in to meet them, forever in '93, I think it was. And he says, what do you remember from that night? And I was like, I tell him that story. And he says, that was the night that we learned that Kurt had a problem with heroin. Mm-hmm. We didn't know. We thought, but that was the night. Because they went on stage and trashed the set live.
Wow.
And got forever. Lauren said you could never come back on the show. And he kicked them off. And it was a big scandal, I guess. And,
yeah. Wow. And did you get a chance to meet Rodney?
Yeah, well, I met Rodney on Caddyshack, so met him as shook his hand.
Hey kid, you got any pot or what?
Yeah, I didn't get high with Rodney, but Brian Doyle.
Brian Doyle liked to rock.
I'm sure Rodney smoked pot.
Yeah. Oh, I see. I'm sorry. Brian was thinking for himself. I thought.
Oh no, he didn't want it for Rodney.
Oh, I'm thinking, no, bring it for Rodney.
I think he just said that to anyone, whoever was coming up. Bring pot.
Hey.
Those halls back then, not so much now. Just reeked of pot, but also the interesting thing was when I hosted it on the meal breaks they served alcohol, which was really unusual. It was like Europe, like there was wine and
a norm.
Man, now that you think of it, I can picture you now, and because who hasn't seen Caddyshack like 30 times? When we toured every other night, somebody go put on Caddyshack.
I'm all over that movie.
Between Caddyshack and Al Pacino, Scarface, I've probably seen that and The Godfather 1, but Caddyshack probably number 4 or 5 in terms of. So yeah, man, I'm just thinking all those scenes. Woo! And how old were you then?
Well, I was 15. Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
But the cool thing about those,
Danny, no, you don't.
Exactly.
I remember that girl.
That was all cast.
I'll marry you. No, Danny, no,
you'd see Bill Murray show up at 7 a.m. having not been to sleep with a 7 and 7 still in his hand, just
on.
It was crazy set. They were crazy.
Oh my gosh.
But the cool thing is, these little things of synchronicity are great. When you come upon something it's like it says you're on the right path, and I remember working with Michael O'Keefe years later, and it was like this, when things come full circle, or John Travolta was the catalyst for me becoming an actor. Then I worked with him, I was trying to produce something with him, then I acted with him. When those things happen, you're like, oh, okay, this is something's right. Somehow it's hard to describe.
Okay, well, the fork in the road, you take it.
It's easy to describe. You just say it's caused.
But that's a good point. Your music is obviously cool, and we're going to get back in there, but your acting is so huge and such a big part of you. How did you get into acting? I know you said that you wanted to be an actor, but to get to where was it that break in Caddyshack and meeting?
Well, that led, listen, I had the kind of hubris of youth, the insanity to think I could do it. I saw the movie Grease. I'd never thought about acting before. In the middle of that movie, I had this epiphany, and I said, I can do that.
Travolta can do it. You could do it.
Well, it was, what it was, and John told me that a lot of actors, Nick Cage and David Duchovny, and all these different actors have come up to him and said that he was the reason. And it as great as he is, the thing was that registered with me was the joy that he clearly has as a performer. And I've worked with him, so I've seen it in person. And that, because I knew there's no way I couldn't even get through school. I joked that I didn't pass a test from the 7th grade on, so I knew I wasn't going to be behind a desk.
So you were Vinnie Barbarino.
Yes, absolutely. I certainly was impersonating.
You in New York? Give me a Vinnie Barbarino.
Yeah. What was his? Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter.
No, Mr. Carter.
Mr. Carter. No, he didn't say it. That was someone else.
No, that was.
He was Mr. Carter. No, Mr. Carter. I don't know.
Yeah. There you go. Hey, I like that. Yeah, man, amazing. And really, the acting and the music thing is so intertwined because it's creative enterprise for sure. But
well, the thing that drives it, so then I moved to New York and I spent 10 years in the theater doing the kind of typical actor thing, and it was great because I starved, I had a rough road, but I learned what I do. But the thing that drives it all is this need to express. And that's why music's so great, because it's so pure. It's not, and when it's your own song, there's no separation.
Yeah, sorry. We're multitasking here because we're going to get ready to play.
Yeah, it's just kind of however it comes out.
Oh, you need one of those new ones. Never mind.
Get a hammer.
Oh, man, I've got that somewhere.
Have one.
Yeah, keep talking. I know where I've got one in my car.
Okay.
Hey, Lori, you take over for me. No.
Well, I might have one right
Where you go? You know what we need? We just want to play Rob's new single off his iPhone, and I've got. Is that what we need?
It says two possibilities.
Otherwise, I know what I have what I need in my car.
I think.
Lori, that's a lot of stuff right there, man.
That's spaghetti.
No.
Is it either of those?
I don't think
No.
so.
No, let's see. It's a
I know what
Yeah,
we.
it's like a little adapter.
I know what we need. Lori, put on those headphones. You're going to take over for me. I've never turned over the microphone
All right.
in 6 years, but I'm turning over to you. Take care of Rob for a couple minutes.
I always have stuff to talk about.
I know.
So.
Oh, really?
So I'm going out to my car real quick
Yeah.
so we can listen to Rob's
This
new
is good
single.
practice
Take
for
over.
me.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about how did you meet Steve Postel?
Oh, wow. Jump in. Dive in.
Wait a minute.
He's how I know Rob. So
I met him at a gig we were doing for like a Grammy party. Somehow I was invited to sing at a Grammy party, and I met him backstage there.
a couple of years ago.
Yeah, this is probably 5 years ago, I guess. But as I said, it was like I'd met him. Like I felt like I knew him. And it wasn't just. It was a familiarity. It was like I was pretty sure that we knew each other, and then it only occurred to me later that we didn't.
Right.
But
Maybe it was a previous life kind of thing.
yeah, or
The New
the
York
other thing I
vibe.
thought of was that maybe I'd seen him because he's played in so many bands that maybe
Yeah.
I've just seen him and didn't register consciously, but he registered. But I just dug him, and he's this great girl with him, some girl he was dating, and he was just such a cool dude. And then we would just bump into each other, and I started kind of going to see some of his things, and we just hit it off. Yeah, he's a cool cat.
Yeah, he's involved with so many different people.
How do you know him?
Well, I used to be involved with putting together a weekly songwriter night with songwriters Jody Siegel and Alfred Johnson.
Right.
And it was down in Hermosa Beach.
Right.
And it was a weekly thing, and we would have multiple songwriters come.
Right.
And you can imagine how hard that is. Like, it was a Wednesday night, and we wanted to have like 3 or 4, plus they played constantly trying to like find people. And
Right.
Alfred somehow met him like at, I don't know, Whole Foods or something like that, and they got talking, and he invited Steve to be on one of the songwriter nights. And after that, like, I just got talking with him, and we hit it off, and we always stayed friends. And then I started like promoting his shows, his Night Train Music Club, and wherever it was, like, we just were working together,
Yeah.
And he's cool, and he trusts me, and so
He's really fun to work with, because
Yeah.
he produced a couple songs for us recently, and it was really nice. Like, I really like working with people that, because I direct to actors, it's all about drawing out what it is that's unique about that person, that artist. And he was good about that. He wasn't trying to impose his thing on us. He was trying to draw out what was the best of what we had in us.
Cool.
Which is a cool quality.
All right.
So we have
How'd
juice?
you do, Larry?
we got some
she did
juice
great.
there.
Yeah.
Don't you have to get another cord or something outside?
No.
Or-
Oh. Well, hey, Larry goes where the
Just kidding, baby.
No, and it's funny because
Talent
Cindy's
is talent.
listening to the show inside, and it's on a slight delay, so I could hear the end of what I said.
Oh, that's
And
funny.
then she saw you, and she's like, "What are you doing out here?"
Wait a minute. And no, fantastic. Thank you, Lori. You do a great job, and it really. Rob, everybody knows I just treat my show like you're talking in the living room. Know music way more than I know the acting business, but I know what it takes to succeed in the acting business, which you've obviously done amazing. And I love the fact that now you're putting that energy into your music,
Thanks.
wherever it lies. Now, speaking of which, I did get the adapter that we needed, so we're going to play your new single right now, which
Woohoo!
tell our audience about it.
So this is called The New Face. I'll explain where it came from, and this is out on iTunes and all digital platforms now. And Carlos and I wrote it, and here it is.
Okay, it's called The New Face, right?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Face. La, la. When you were young and sweet, you used to love to sing and play. Wherever you went, your laughter field. They all look the same, thinking it's a power that they wield. What has happened that makes us give up on ourselves? Things that make us better should get lost in a game of stealth. Oh, that's the new phase. La, la, la. New phase. La, has taken your place. Yeah, that's the new phase. La, la, new phase. La, has taken your place.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, man.
All right, I'm going to take that right because she's telling me back there, Rockin' Robin. Oh, she'll hear me in a second. What is there more coming?
No, I hit it by accident.
Oh, okay. Hold on a second. There we go. Okay, Robin, you should have us back normal. Anyway, because I'm normally not set up to pull that, and I think I pulled the signal. So if you didn't hear that, yeah, she's saying yes. The podcast, it'll be. I didn't want to disrupt it because it sounded so darn good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And the podcast kind of generates a whole different vibe. Fantastic, man. That sounded really good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
came about. So my
Yeah.
wife was reading this article in New York Magazine about facelifts, and there were the two kinds of facelifts. There was the new face, which was like the Joan Rivers, pulled back and all, like But then the new face was epitomized by kind of like they would say like Meg Ryan kind of or Angelina Jolie or with the big cheekbones and the lips. That's the new face.
The new face.
So I heard that phrase and I was like, that's a song.
Wow, fantastic. All right, so let's social media. What do you do? What's your main focus right now?
I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and
Anything
Facebook.
you want to promote, you go.
Instagram as official Rob Morrow, Twitter as Rob Morrow, and Facebook. And we have the Rob Morrow Band, and I have a fan page, Rob Morrow, and then I have a kind of a private, I guess mainly private, although it's got a lot of fans on it somehow.
Twitter face.
Twitter, I'm on.
Twitter face is your new thing.
Twitter face. I'm going to start
No,
that.
you are, man. You're all that.
I'm everything, man.
Everywhere.
Yeah, new face. I like that though, and you never know where you get inspiration for a song or a lyric, and it's about life right now. I mean, it's a crazy kind of life, as Laird Dog knows.
It's
song that I wrote.
crazy.
So is that all the players from the band, the live band?
No, that's basically me and Carlos. That was that was
And
just
tracks.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Wow, sounds really good. And Lori touched on something. You're going to do a whole record, or right now just I mean, really, it's about singles anymore, anyway. But
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly. We have a bunch of stuff. We have a lot of music to record. We just did these two with Steve, and we're gonna do a pledge campaign, I think, to raise the cash to finish it, and we'll do about another 7. And I'm not sure how we'll release it or what the strategy will be once we have it all recorded. Whether it goes out as one thing or we'll just drop them. Like we have a couple ready to go now. I just
Right.
don't know. I want to do it when we can maximize. I have some potential big acting gigs coming up, and
Yep.
if that happens, I'm going to kind of try to piggyback it on that.
I was going to say, I mean, that's really the way to do it. As we know,
That's
we've talked about it. My
merchandising,
good
man.
buddy
That's coming.
Eddie Money's coming off his reality show, Real Money. They just got picked up for a second season. It's kind of helping his career, getting ready to release a new album.
Yeah.
When you kind of combine stuff, it's
Bundling.
that's really when you
Bundling, yeah.
Like when-
That's the word.
when you can get on a
Bundle.
roll.
Bundling.
I directed a lot of the episodes of a show called The Fosters, which just went off the air, and I slipped one of my tunes into one of the cuts. I actually do it all the time, but it usually gets rejected at some point. But for some reason, this one went. So we have a song that we placed there, which was great.
Right, which it's and that's again one
Put
of
a
the
coffee mug on top of that, you're done.
you
you
have
go.
a successful career as an actor, obviously, but for musicians who are struggling, maybe it's all about licensing their songs,
Yeah.
touring for live and merchandise. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And speaking of which, any plans for your Rob Morrow band to go out there and kind of do an extensive tour?
I really want to. We're not set up to do it yet, but it's a dream of mine.
Get the album done first.
Yeah, I think
Next year,
I have a
maybe.
feeling it'll come the right way. I've watched Kevin Bacon's a friend. Actually, Kevin Bacon said to me, an actor with a band is a man with a bullseye on his back.
Oh, yeah.
Because they come after
boy.
you,
Sure.
He was, it took him 20 years to
Yeah.
get to become legitimate, and they're great. They have a great band, a
Bacon
great
Brothers, yeah.
sound.
Yeah.
But
Dennis
they're
Quaid, too. Dennis
Dennis-
Quaid's got his blues band. They play at Harvelle sometimes.
Yeah.
I've seen
but
them.
Kevin's they go out on a big tour.
Oh yeah,
you know?
yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I just happened to see a clip today from some violinist that I knew, and and they play great. Kevin Costner has a band.
Costner has a band.
Yeah.
Oh, Jeff Bridges, too,
Lieutenant
right?
Dan has a
Bridges,
band.
yeah.
Jeff Bridges. What was that movie where he was the cowboy singer? And
It was so good.
oh my gosh!
Yeah.
It was
And he
so
actually
good.
sang
That'll-
everything.
yeah.
Actually, Steve Postel, of course, worked with him
Yep.
on that.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he worked with
Yeah,
him.
he helped him kind of get the guitar stuff.
That was fantastic. You really felt everything that he sang. And now, again, Rob, your acting career is just so amazing. I really didn't know till I kind of dug into your background a little bit. What's it like to be on a set of a huge show? I mean, my little experience in filming and stuff for TV and commercials has been a lot of hanging around, waiting for things to happen. But on these big shows, do things keep moving pretty fast? Or
As a director, it does, especially in TV. The way I describe directing episodic television is you get to work at 7 a.m. and someone says you're behind schedule and you will never make your day. And all day long, that person is in the corner going like, you are so screwed. And then at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you've shot one of 5 scenes, and from it seems physically impossible to do it. But then I've never ever not made my day.
Right.
Then at 8 o'clock at night, they come to you and they say you made your day, go home. Then you come back the next day and they say you're behind schedule and you're never going to make your day. And so and you have to
endless.
act like you're the coolest, calmest dude, like no sweat. I
But
got
you
this
are.
on the outside, but
You don't have to act that
no,
way.
I do, man. Because inside I'm going, this is it. This is the day that I'm going to get in trouble, and they're going to say,
this is the day.
"That's a good. This is the day." But as an actor, it's a little more. When I direct, when I go back to acting, I'm always like, why would I ever direct? Because
This is so good.
as an actor, they're like, can we get you anything? You need anything? You want a nap? You need something
Right,
to eat?
right.
You okay? Is it too hot? Is it too cold? And as a director,
It's
they
so
It's all
just
your
funny.
fault as a director.
exactly.
Now, I've often heard the line, directing a movie or TV is like producing in the studio. Music.
Absolutely.
Would you agree with that? Your job is to get the best out of the performer.
Absolutely. You're kind of keeping an eye out on all the elements and making sure it comes together in some cohesive thing. And for me, in the same way with music, it's like I like when something happens. The great thing about filming is that if something happens for the first time in your shooting, it's gold.
That's magic.
It's magic. But a lot of times people don't set up an environment for that. They get very strict about this is the way it's going to be. But when you get in a situation where people are creating in the moment, it's a really fun experience.
Mm-hmm. Well,
But it's very similar. You're right.
Rule 101 of recording as a producer, always press red.
There you go.
Because the guy's warming up and he may sing a line that he'll never sing again.
Yeah.
I know that.
Precious, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they may
Johnny
not
Boot
think
Camp.
so, and then you go, wow. But I just had a moment with Eddie Money in the studio today where a line that I really liked kind of more than what he liked and I just said, hey, if Eddie likes that line better, that's what
That's
it's going
his
to be.
thing, yeah.
Fine. And he came in today and we listened to it right before going to mastering, and he goes, I liked it the way it was before, Donnie. And, usually you come down to the right thing, but does come down to the artist. And again, my experience in the acting business is minimal, but I would just think it's so much fun. Do you know when you're in the moment? Like I know in the studio, if you're recording and you're singing or playing, you just know when you're in it. Do you have that kind
I
of
hear a
feeling
voice
with an
in my
actor?
head saying, "You are in it. You are.
Do you?
You are killing it. You are in the groove." I can just feel it.
Yeah.
And then sometimes when something goes, like I never forget this. I did a movie called Quiz Show that Robert Redford directed.
Quiz Show
Yeah.
was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was great. I
Oh
was the
my
kind of the main
gosh.
guy, the guy that investigated Dick Goodwin, who just passed away, the real guy.
Quiz Show where the guy cheated?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh, that was Cindy. Woo, I got
Oh, you're a
goosebumps.
jerk.
Cindy's
Oh, no,
listening.
I'm
Wait,
not that
she
bad.
hasn't heard it yet. It's like on a 15-second delay. But
Oh wait, screams.
yeah. Wait, hopefully it's because of this. That was you were in Quiz Show?
I was the main dude. I mean, I was me, Rafe, and John Turturro. So I played
But
Richard
wait, what
Goodwin.
part? Just refresh
The
my memory.
investigator, the guy who kind of investigates
oh my
all
gosh,
I
I'm-
looked different. I had these this big eyebrows, and I gained some weight and wore these
That
crazy suits.
movie was a 10. Have you seen that?
Yeah, but it's a long time ago.
It's a great movie.
I don't care. A long time
Yeah.
ago, that was unbelievable. Who was the main actor? The guy that the cheated.
Rafe Fiennes.
Oh my God, Ray Feinstein.
Yeah.
Or, if I've said it, amazing. Wow, my I can't tell you.
But
that. I love that
the cool
movie.
thing about that movie is because Redford was directing it, basically whatever he wanted, they'd let him do, and it was only about a $20 million movie, I think the cost. So they kind of let him do his thing, and I was shooting a very important scene. The end of the movie, the last line of the movie is me coming out of the congressional hearings, and someone says, like a reporter says, "Hey, aren't you glad you got TV?" And I say, "No, we didn't get TV. TV got us."
Right.
And it's a great portentous line about where we are today.
Oh, baby.
But when we shot it, it made me think of, because when you're in that moment, and I knew it was important. I could see it on the giant screen, and I thought, I didn't do it right. I went home and I laid down at bed, and I was like, I should have done this, I should have done that. So the next day I go to Bob Redford and I say, Bob, I think I have a better idea about that. And he was like, really? I was like, yeah. And he said, all right. So he set the whole, there was a congressional hearing, so there
Go
was
on.
500 people in the scene, and he set the whole thing up for me to do it again. And we were in the scene. We did about 3 or 4 takes, and on the 4th take, I hear that voice. I'm in it. I'm nailing it. I'm hitting it. And just then, his grandkids were visiting, and they screamed and ruined the take. But so I don't even know what's in the movie. I don't know whether they used
Oh my gosh.
something from the original day or that day. But
Well, several thoughts come to my mind. Number one, that he trusted you that much to say, hey, okay. And that's what I always say to singers. I go, because part of a producer's job in the studio is to say, hey, I got it. I got what I have. You as a
Right.
director, I'm sure. But if a singer says to me, I can do it better, I will always let them,
I think anyone's smart that way. I mean, unless it becomes someone's, indulgent. There were plenty of times where he was like, "No, trust me, you got it."
Right.
But
Right.
it was such a big moment, and it's the great, but it's a luxury. You don't get that in TV for sure.
Good point. So you don't know what made the final cut, whether it was that
I
second.
can't remember. I don't know whether it was from the second day or from the
Oh,
previous.
quiz show, man. Now I'm really in, baby. Like I said, we don't watch a lot of TV other than sports and Jeopardy, which Cindy always wins.
Right.
But
watch a little porno
yeah,
now
I
and
mean,
then.
hey, Larry,
Just saying.
Northern Exposure, Entourage, Billions, 3 big, huge shows.
And The People versus OJ.
Now, see,
Yeah.
I didn't see that. That's
Oh,
recent
yeah.
too, right?
That was
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I need to see that.
That's
What do
actually
they call
great.
that? Docudrama? Like It was
Well,
episode.
I guess it's docudrama. Yeah, it's based on real events. But it was so well done. I was really proud to be
I
a
was
part of
hooked.
that. I had no idea. I thought it was going to be kind of. I think when they were putting it together, everyone thought it was just going to be one of these cheap kind of TV
Sure.
movies. But Larry Karaszewski and Scott Alexander, who are big movie writers, they've written a lot of big hits. Wrote it, and so it had this kind of authenticity and veracity. And
I remember what was happening. I mean,
Me too. I was
My
obsessed.
daughter was little. I was like home a lot, and just like all I wanted to do was like watch that.
I
that
did. I
whole
watched
thing.
it. I was obsessed with it.
Oh, when it was going down?
Sharknado.
The real
Well,
one.
who wasn't watching
Yeah,
it? Everybody
but I mean,
was.
then to watch this thing, like kind of
People versus OJ. What?
reliving it.
But
was
that was the
crazy.
same kind of thing I was talking about before. It's like
Yeah.
I was on that
Deja
set,
vu.
and they recreated it so
Right,
perfect. And the guy who
right.
playing Lance Ito was so spot on that I'd be like, "Where am I?" And then I'm getting up to cross-examine the guy. Like,
who did you play?
I played
Barry Shack.
Barry Shack.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh! Yeah, I can remember him very well.
Yeah, he was fun.
Gosh, wasn't that whole thing was crazy, man?
Crazy.
Gee, but
I was watching Sharknado. Missed it.
when I heard when
comedy.
if it doesn't fit, you must have quit.
Right.
He's off.
And now Alan Dershowitz, who seems out of his gourd, is all over the news. Last week he was saying that when he goes to Martha's Vineyard now, people don't treat him well. And like he's treated worse now, but because he's representing Trump than when he got OJ off, which is saying a lot.
Oh my! All
You can
right.
get OJ.
Hey, all I got to say, man, that was some crazy stuff.
Johnny Cochran.
And I knew OJ's personal guy that used to go on his autograph sessions, and I mean, there was just no doubt off the top. And
No
and
doubt.
of course, then the
Kardashian.
DNA. Yeah, I mean, really, my theory on the whole thing is that OJ. This is my theory. OJ and Cato were doing some blow, some cocaine. He got one of those fiery rages that can happen. So I've heard, and just stumbled upon a situation and went crazy. That's my initiative.
I think you're right. I think that I've heard that. That's kind of been borne out.
Yeah, because they were at McDonald's copping. Everybody, at least most people knew
not,
OJ.
right?
No, I'm not going to say anything. I might get sued.
Having a big
But
man.
there is this
I'll
great
have to
moment
edit that
about the
out of this one.
Kardashians, because Kardashian
Right.
was his friend and lawyer.
Right.
There's a moment where the kids, all the Kardashian kids, who are now the Kardashians,
Sure.
were at home watching on TV their dad getting interviewed. And it's this great moment where you cut to all their faces and you can almost see the light bulbs go off, like television celebrity.
Yeah, all right. Bingo.
Hello. Yeah. Well, it was Kardashian's
Like you
house
said, that
in
path
Encino that OJ escaped, left, and started that infamous ride. Anyway, we're about ready to wind down, Rob. Rob Morrow, amazing number one. You're such a talent on so many levels. You want to play another song live? It's up to you.
Sure.
Take us out. We're ready if you are. And Rock and
free
Robin will go out shortly after this. But fantastic. And what are you going to play for us?
This is called Good Enough Dead.
Wow, speaking of OJ.
This is Steve Postel produced.
Okay.
You've left me just like you have said. I'm deaf, no songs in my head. What good things come to bad ends. You're gonna miss those things I do. You're gonna miss those ways we move. I know that wants and needs won't give me what I seek. I know that pleasures last just as long as they can be. I know that who I am ain't the voices in my head. Without you in my bed, I'm as good as I'm lost, left to float in dread. You were hiding so much left unsaid. What good things come to bad ends. You're gonna miss those things I do, yeah. Oh, you're gonna miss those ways that we move. I know that wants and needs won't give me what I seek. I know that pleasures last just as long as they can be. I know that who I am ain't the voices in my head. And I know that words mean little, but I'm just so crippled without you in my bed. Yeah, I'm as good as, oh, I'm so good. I'm dead. Yeah, I'm as good as, yeah, I'm as good as, without you in my bed. I'm as good as dead. I know the wants and needs won't give me what I see. I know that pleasures last just as long as they can be. I know that who I am ain't the voices in my head. And I know that words mean little, but I'm just so crippled without you in my bed. You know I'm as good as dead. Without you in my bed. Oh, I'm as good as dead. I'm as good as dead.
Oh, keep playing those chords nice and soft for me. Yeah, come on. Keep playing that. Oh, that's it. Man, you were in one of those grooves right there. I'm telling you, man. See, my voices in my head are telling me, Rob Morrow, baby, thank you. What a talent. What a talent on so many levels. Can't believe you were in quiz show. Damn. Lori Reamer, thank you. Man,
Thank you, Don.
You keep delivering, baby.
I love it.
Laird, and thanks for subbing for me while I had to go take care of business. Laird Dog's in the house as always. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to Don Cromwell Live tonight. We want to thank the Star Worldwide Network back in Phoenix, Dave Pratt, Ed Vanderlee, the Suburban Cowboys, Rockin' Robin on the board, taking care of us as always. And as always, we thank our troops, past, present, and future, the ones laying their butts on the line. Thank God for the saving of those Thai kids, huh?
Yeah.
Out of the cave. What an amazing...
Oh, yeah, that's so great.
What an amazing... They brought them out of sleep, they're saying.
Man, they didn't
Just amazing. Please respect your police officers. John Lennon said it best. All we need is love. Rob Morrow. Rob Morrow Band. Facebook.com/Rob Morrow Band. Bogies this Sunday. I'm out of things to talk about, but thanks, Rob, so much.
My pleasure.
Good night, everybody. Take care, Don Cromwell Live. Yeah.
That was fun.
Woo.